So good morning all. Hope all are doing in good health.
Good morning, ma'am.
How many of you are reached Bijapur? Okay. Anyway, I think still many people are in confusion whether to come or not and all things. Today will be finalizing, but if you, why we are calling you early for 8 days is you will be under quarantine, means we don't conduct any offline class for 1 more week, so that you will come and it is like quarantine as well as adjusting to your room and everything else. Then we will be able to start the offline. By that time we'll come to know what are the difficulties or other things or anybody's health issues in those 8 days, because it's been a long time you are at your home places. So we are calling you back so the everything will get settled. We can start offline from 1st of July or 4th of July. 4th is Sunday, 5th of July, like that. Okay. So we'll be intimating you today about that. So let us start today's class. As you know, it's on gastrointestinal hormones. Of course, all of we have seen what are the different hormones that are regulating the secretions of this gastrointestinal tract, be it gastric juice, pancreatic juice, or intestinal juice, and their movements also. Now we'll see in detail at one place what are the different hormones they are going to act on the GIT as a secretory stimulating factors, movement stimulating factors, as well as they are also stimulating the growth of the cells like intestinal cells or stomach, pancreas and intestine tropic action. Okay. So by the end of this class, the objectives are that the student should be able to know or tell, understand the history of hormones, because there are specific landmarks how these hormones have been invented and how they have been classified and what is the basic structure of these hormones individually, because many of these things you are going to learn in biochemistry, and what is the specific action of the each hormone and how they are regulated, and we'll end with the applied aspect. Okay, as usual, you know. And one thing we should remember here is, even though we study these hormones, it is very difficult to separate each hormone or the cell of each hormone which is going to secrete in the real patient or real person, living person. Okay, because the cells are so much intimidated. Like if you see the histology of these cells, it's very difficult to take out only G cell. We tell gastrin is secreted from G cell and CCK-PZ is secreted from K cell. Now it's not so easy to separate these G cells from other cells which secrete secretin, CCK-PZ, VIP, GIP. All the cells are almost in so much like adhesion in the histology. So as of now, it's very difficult to study the individual function or regulation of these hormones in living person. But whatever they have discovered is by doing experiments, right? Experimental animals, they have isolated these cells and they have grown these cells in artificial medias, and then they have studied by inducing the higher concentration of these hormones. Why I am telling is, you should know this, because it's whatever we just learn, whatever is given in the textbook, like individual function, is not so in the living people, right? So it takes a lot of things to understand separating each cell, physiological dose of these all hormones given to the person, it's very difficult to know the or analyze the individual function. Okay, whenever there was increased dose of these hormones was given to the person, experimental animal, then only they were able to identify what is the function of gastrin, what is the function of secretin, what is the function of CCK-PZ. Okay, so that's what I want you people to understand this. Okay, coming back to the introduction. We know hormones, they play an integral role in the most of our regulatory. What is the function of hormones is they regulate many of our body functions. Here we are talking about GIT hormones. So we are restricting ourselves to the functions of GIT only. Like thyroid and growth hormone, if we speak, they almost regulate each and every function of the person. Okay, so but when we study the endocrine glands, they tell GIT itself whole is a largest endocrine gland in our body, because you will see so many hormones are secreted from whole gastrointestinal tract. Okay, but when we study growth hormone, it's only from pituitary. When we study thyroid, it's only from thyroid gland, adrenal gland, like that. But GIT is a very big endocrine organ because it secretes many hormones which we will see. Okay, then almost 30 GIT hormones have been identified. Still many more may be there which have been not yet identified. So that place is open for you people to discover the new hormones if you can in the future. Okay, so basically all these gastrointestinal tract hormones are polypeptides, and they act in paracrine function, right? So if you remember what is autocrine, paracrine function, so these are all polypeptide hormones and act in paracrine function. Then it's very important to know the history. So Bayliss and Starling, right? In 1902, they got a Nobel Prize for discovering the GIT hormone secretin, right? And then came this Gregory and Tracy. They identified the chemical definition of gastrin. First hormone, GIT hormone, was secretin, that was identified. Then chemical structure of gastrin was identified in 1964, and then Benson and Yalo invented the radioimmunoassay. Now, how do you think that these hormones are measured, right? They are measured through radioimmunoassay to estimate how much quantity of these hormones are synthesized in our body. Then Jorpes and Mudd in 1996, they identified the chemical nature of secretin and cholecystokinin. They were able to analyze the chemical structure of secretin and cholecystokinin in a group. So this is a brief history. So if you see before 19th century, it was not known that GIT also secretes hormones. Okay, so that's the idea of knowing history. Now coming to these cells, in general, I am telling starting its introduction of GI hormones. So all GI hormones are secreted from the endocrine cells. These are nothing but neuroectodermal cells in the fetal life. They develop from neural crest, and they basically act on the surfaces, right? Then what is the means? They are released into the lumen and they enter the portal circulation. They go to the heart through this portal venous blood, and then they come back to the GIT tract, and then they start their action. So basically all the this gastrointestinal enzymes, hormones, they act in three, or mechanism of action is in three forms. Either neurocrine, means stimulation from the parasympathetic vagus nerve, and that in turn leads to the secretion and function, or paracrine action, or either they may act also as typical endocrine, means they may enter into the nucleus of the cell and they modify the protein synthesis in the cell. So these are three important mechanisms by which these endocrine cells secrete. Then this other name for the cells which secrete this GI hormone is also called as enteroendocrine cells. I told you, if you remember, the word itself tells the meaning. That means entero means always gut, right? That is intestine or intestinal tract, gastrointestinal tract is entero. So endocrine cells means the endocrine cells that are situated in the entero or enteroendocrine cells. Okay. So these endocrine cells are spread all over, starting from stomach to small intestine and even colon, right? So for example, the cells are named G cells which secrete gastrin, S cells that secrete secretin, K cells that secrete CCK-PZ, and M cells. Like that, they have discovered afterwards experimentally and named each cell with one letter of alphabet, right? So G cell, gastrin, so G cell, secretin, so S cell, like that. Then cells, these are going to manufacture not only one hormone, they manufacture sometimes serotonin in addition to the polypeptides. So these cells which secrete, now we know serotonin is a neurotransmitter, right? So apart from hormone, when the neurotransmitter is also secreted, such cells in gastrointestinal tract are called as enterochromaffin cells, right? They are called as enterochromaffin cells. You remember this word because the tumors will arise from this, many tumors, and we go on addressing this as enterochromaffin cells. So this is just, I have put a picture wherein what is the mechanism of endocrine, autocrine and paracrine. You should understand. Endocrine means where these pass through the gap junctions in between the cells and they start action. Autocrine is the contact dependent side cells, the side adjacent cells, right? So they require interaction between the two cells and membranes and molecules just pass through. Paracrine means they start secreted by one cell and they diffuse to the other cell or adjacent cell with the help of a receptor, right? So these are the different modes of action of these gastric hormone, gastrointestinal hormones, endocrine, autocrine and paracrine. If you understand and remember these differences between these three, so you will be able to better write your or represent your answer. Okay. Now there are some cells called as Apute cells. If you remember, I told you when I was teaching in small intestinal juice. So they are amine precursor uptake and decarboxylase cells, or they are also called as neuroendocrine cells. So enteroendocrine cells are there, then neuroendocrine cells, then enterochromaffin cells. These are three different types of cells, and you know they all three do different functions. So cells that manufacture amines, right? Because amine precursor uptake and decarboxylase. So the name itself tells what these cells are going to do. So cells manufacturing amines in addition to polypeptides, they are found in lungs and basically other organs in addition to GIT. So epidomas, we tell the tumors that arise from these cells, like they are called as epidomas, means the tumor of epid cells. So typically the other name for the tumors is carcinoid tumors, carcinoid tumors. So coming to, in general, again, there are some stimulating factors that lead to the releasing of these gastrointestinal hormones. So basically it may be the nervous activity, or means stimulation may be a nervous factor, or if there is any distension of the intestinal wall, either food entering into the stomach will cause releasing of gastrin, or chyme entering into the duodenum, jejunum, ileum or colon. So any mechanical distension of the wall leads to stretching, and that in turn will cause the release of this respective gastric hormones. Then, or there may be some chemical stimulation like increase in the calcium, potassium, sodium level, electrolyte imbalance, increase in water, reabsorption. So all these nervous activity, distension, mechanical or chemical, all three are responsible for releasing of these gastrointestinal hormones. And the mode of release I have written here. Whenever these hormones are released, after this stimulation, they will enter first into portal circulation. Then it goes to liver. From there it goes to the heart through the venous blood, then it enters the GI tract. So thus these hormones are released. Now basic, again you should remember, because there are 30 hormones, of which 5 or 6 hormones, important hormones, we will study in detail. We can't study all 30 hormones. I told you few hormones sequence of amino acid is still undiscovered. It is open for research. Okay. So overall function of these gastrointestinal hormones is secretion. They are going to, whenever they are released, they will stimulate the secretion, enhance the secretion, right? Like bile secretion, pancreatic juice secretion is enhanced. Second action is they affect the movements of GIT. So not only secretion is stimulated, these hormones are either going to increase or decrease the movement of stomach, intestine, or the walls, ileocecal wall, then gastric emptying. They regulate the emptying of gastric chyme. So like that, movements are affected. Even migrating motor complex in the stomach, or whenever a person is starving, the hunger contractions, they are all mediated by these gastric hormones. Then third important function they do is growth of stomach, small intestine and pancreas. I have told you growth means individual epithelial cells, they have got tropic action. We call tropic effect means they enhance the growth of the epithelial cells of stomach, intestine and especially small intestine and then the pancreas. Okay. Then they also, apart from the growth effect, the fourth important function of all gastrointestinal hormones is releasing. They help in releasing of the other endocrine hormones like insulin, glucagon and calcitonin. Is especially CCK-PZ plays an important role in releasing of these whenever the person takes food, means postprandial time, these will be affected. Then fifth important function is they also influence the absorption of water, electrolytes and nutrients from the stomach, intestine and pancreas. So you remember these 5 important functions are common for all the hormones, because we ask either short note or short answer or viva question on these gastrointestinal hormones. If you remember the main stimulating factors, main mechanism of action and main steps of functions, like secretion, they influence secretion, they influence movement, they influence the growth and they influence the release of other hormones and absorption. So these are common. Now specific functions, when we go in detail, then we will see what are the specific functions. So here you are going to see the 1 second, please excuse me. No? Hello? Hello? Hello, na class ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಈಗ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, sorry for that. So classification of gastrointestinal hormones, when we see, they are broadly classified into gastrin family, secretin family and others, right? Now, what are all the hormones what is the basis for this classification is their sequence of amino acids, right? So, gastrin family is the family of hormones which are having similar amino acid composition. They are grouped as gastrin family, and you can see only two hormones are there in the gastrin and CCK, right? Cholecystokinin. Then secretin family. Secretin family, again the amino acid sequence, basic sequence will be similar. Only few amino acids difference is there. So it includes secretin, glucagon, glycine, VIP and GIP. VIP is not very important person. It is vasoactive intestinal polypeptide, gastric intestinal polypeptide. You must know the full forms also, right? But for ease to remember, you can remember as VIP and GIP, right? So this constitutes secretin family, and all other hormones which are having different sequence, they are grouped as like this peptide, neuropeptide Y, ghrelin, motilin, somatostatin, substance P, GRP, bombicin, chymodin, and guanylin. Now, if you see these other hormones, of course, they are there in the GI tract, but many of them are synthesized from the cerebral cortex also and hypothalamus. They act as neurotransmitters. This especially neuropeptide Y, substance P is involved in pain inhibition in the central nervous system. Then guanylin is there. Then this somatostatin. So these are basically not only in gastrointestinal tract, they are also found in central nervous system, in the cerebral cortex or hypothalamus, where they play a role of important neurotransmitters. So this is the classification. Three groups are there: gastrin family, secretin family, and others. So you have to remember these classification and write whenever it is asked as a. Now we'll see what is gastrin, because only few hormones have been extensively studied and they know details of these hormones, that only we are going to study. So you know gastrin source is secreted from G cells present in the pyloric antral region of the stomach. See, whenever a Viva question is asked, I am telling this by experience. When we ask you people that tell me gastrin and where it is synthesized, you tell okay, it is synthesized from G cells from stomach. No, the answer should be specific: antral or pyloric antral region of the stomach from G cells. Then only it carries meaning for a medical students. Otherwise, non-medical students will also answer G cells from the stomach. Okay, so you got the point of specification. The answer, the knowledge you should show as a first year MBBS student. Okay, so pyloric antral region, G cells of the stomach. Okay, then these cells, if we study in detail about histology, we will study they are flask shaped. And remember, all these cells are having granules because they are storing these hormones in the granules. Whenever a stimulus comes, then the granules are releasing the hormones. So they are all granulated. Apart from GI tract, as I told you, hypothalamus also secretes gastrin, and pituitary also, anterior and intermediate part of pituitary also they have found gastrin. So what is the exact role of gastrin in hypothalamus and pituitary? You will get the literature, but not in depth still. So these three sites are the sources of gastrin. Then apart from that, you will get in fetal pancreas. Means only inside the womb, the pancreas, islets of pancreas of fetus will secrete gastrin. Once after birth, it will stop secreting from this. Then the nerve endings like vagus and sciatic nerve, they also secrete gastrin. So there are almost 4 to 5 sites where gastrin is secreted in different sources. So and some apute cells also secrete gastrin. So 3 types of gastrin they have found, of which 2 are very important. One is called as little gastrin because it's having only 17 amino acids. And we should remember that 90% of gastrin is present in G17, means 17 number of amino acids. And because this is the most important physiologically active part or active molecule, there is a big gastrin because it consists of 34 amino acids, and this gastrin is secreted only after the meal, and it gets converted because of active form of G17. It gets converted by trypsin into G17 only to carry all the physiological functions. So little gastrin, big gastrin, the names are fascinating. I hope you will not forget this little and big gastrin, and of course G17 and G34. Of these, G17 is physiologically most active molecule. The half-life is 2 to 3 minutes, and it is basically metabolized in kidney and small intestine. Now, why it is important to know the half-life, structure, and where it is metabolized is because tomorrow if you find any patient with tumor of gastrin only, that is gastrinomas, you should know the site of action of the drug which it has to on the sources of these gastrin secreting cells, and how it is metabolized, side effects, pharmacology will study in detail. So don't think that knowing half-life, where it is metabolized, what is the structure is not important. It is equally important. Okay, then now I've got a few pictures where the sequence, each amino acid has been identified of gastrin, cholecystokinin and secretin as I am showing you here. The details, position of each amino acid has been discovered and it is there in the literature. Then what are the stimulating factors? Now in general, what are the stimulating factors I have listed on one side. If you also put a table and it's easy to remember, and what are the different hormones that are secreted. So vagal stimulation and acid present in the stomach, that is HCl, product, digested products, they are the main stimulating factor for release of gastrin. Next, diet, see, that means carbohydrates and the HCl, acid, this digested products and vagus nerve is responsible for stimulating gastrin, whereas for gastrin and CCK it is protein digested products. Here there is no role of acid digested products. Then dietary carbohydrates, they stimulate the secretion of GIP, glucagon like substances, because that is required for digestion. Then dietary fat will specifically stimulate only CCK and GIP, because CCK, cholecystokinin and pancreasamine is main factor to releasing bile. Now bile is required for fat digestion, of course pancreatic juice also. So hydrogen ions, only H ions present in the duodenum, that is acidic kind, when it enters into duodenum is the stimulating factor for secretin. So if you study this table, you will come to know that specific hormones are having specific stimulating factors only according to their function. So secretin is main function is to secrete bicarbonate rich pancreatic juice release to neutralize this acid in the duodenum. That's why the stimulating factor is acids H ion in the duodenum. Whereas CCK and GIP are required for fat digestion. That's why dietary fats are the stimulating factors. So there is an interlink between the stimulating factors and the functions of hormones that are released. Okay, so you have to relate like this. There is no like why only vagus should stimulate gastrin. Vagus is not having any role in the secretion of either GIP, VIP or CCK or secretin. Vagus is responsible only for gastrin, right? So there is a specific reason for that. Then coming to the regulation, again means whenever these specific hormone are stimulated, they are going to cause, like, so for this here I have taken example of gastrin, where once the gastrin is secreted, it is going to digest the food that is present in the stomach, enhance the digestion, and products, especially products of protein digestion like peptides to amino acids. Then vagal stimulation of G cell is going to cause again secretion of gastrin. Then parietal cells of the stomach also releases gastrin. So released gastrin will have effect on the digestion of protein products and the some of the carbohydrates in this. So ultimately high acidic gastric content, when it enters into the stomach, by the action of autoregulation of gastrin secretion, means if there is high amount of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, that will enhance the secretion of gastrin. This is autoregulation, means HCl concentration of hydrochloric acid in the stomach is causing negative feedback mechanism by autoregulating. Increased HCl is going to increase the acidic this gastrin secretion, or over a period of time when HCl concentration decreases, then there will be negative feedback to decrease the gastrin secretion. This is the autoregulation. HCl regulates the secretion of gastrin by negative feedback mechanism. Okay, so otherwise HCl will not be neutralized. Then acidic duodenal chyme, but still some amount of acidic chyme enters into the duodenum. Here the secretin acts and their pancreatic, huge amount of bicarbonate rich pancreatic juice is released, and that will neutralize the acidic chyme. Then other intestinal hormones like GIP, VIP, somatostatin, secretin and glucagon, they are also released. Now this what I am showing here, it is the action of gastrin only, right? Whenever gastrin is secreted by the stimulating factor, simultaneously it is going to stimulate the secretion of GIP, VIP, somatostatin, secretin and glucagon. So that is by the paracrine action, autocrine action or endocrine action, like that. Okay. So how now concentrating only on gastrin, how gastrin molecular level, this is a molecular level how gastrin acts, like it goes and binds to the receptors that are present on the parietal cells, and this receptor hormone complex is going to cause the release of this secondary this transmitter called as intracellular calcium inositol triphosphate. IP3 is released, and this IP3 is going to cause release of hydrogen potassium opening of ATPase, and as well as calcium activates the protein kinase. Again, these two act together to form this acid, is whatever is secreted is getting neutralized by the gastrin. Okay, or the huge amount of mucus or movements, this gastrin is going to stimulate the movement of stomach also for emptying others. So here this picture again shows the same thing. In the stomach lumen, G cells are affected by the presence of amino acids or gastric epithelium and vagal stimulation. With these both will stimulate the secretion of gastrin that enters into systemic circulation, that I told you, portal circulation, liver, heart, and again it comes back to the stomach. And here it acts on ECL cells, and histamine is released, and through histamine regulation on the parietal cells it has got a positive effect, and that is going to act on the release of HCl. And this, as I told, autoregulation, increased HCl concentration inhibits the gastrin secretion from the G cells. So this is negative feedback mechanism how the gastrin is autoregulated. Now coming to, there are many functions of gastrin which we have already studied. Basically gastrin stimulates the gastric is stimulated by presence of gastric acid and pepsin secretion. So the first, tropic action, growth of gastric mucosa and intestine. The huge amount of mucosal cells are dying every day because of HCl, and their turnover is maintained by this gastrin. by DNA, RNA and continuous protein synthesis and new mucosal cells. Second function, it stimulates the gastric motility, but it delays the gastric emptying, so that 2 to 3 hours whatever food remains in the stomach will get digested completely and then gastric emptying will occur. So its effect is on gastric motility. Then it prevents reflux of esophagitis, reflux esophagitis, by controlling the lower sphincter of esophagus, that is cardiac sphincter. So these two are its action on the motility movements of the stomach and lower sphincter of esophagus. And next function is it has got an exocrine pancreas. It stimulates the exocrine pancreas secretion, that is enzyme rich pancreatic juice. It also stimulates endocrine function like insulin secretion, but this is seen only in case of whenever a person takes protein food, protein rich food only after prandial. Then the next important function is it is responsible for mass movement of large intestine. So gastrin influences the mass movement of large intestine so that it is going to relax the ileocecal sphincter and large amount of chyme enters into the cecum. Then colonic contraction, it is going to influence, it initiates gastrocolic reflex, that is defecation reflex is influenced by the gastrin, and it also stimulates histamine secretion from ECL cells as we have seen in the stomach. So these are the list of functions of gastric which is going to play an important role in the movements of stomach as well as digestion of the proteins and carbohydrate. Now next hormone of GI is cholecystokinin pancreozymin. Basically it was derived from the Greek word chole means bile, cysto is sac, because they thought that cholecystokinin is having its effect on the gallbladder, which is like a sac where bile is stored. So it is going to cause releasing of bile from the gallbladder. That is why it is going to move the bile sac to release the bile. So cholecystokinin, the name is from Greek. So this cholecystokinin is basically secreted from eye cells that are granular mucosal cells of the duodenum and jejunum. So these eye cells are present in duodenum and jejunum. And apart from gastrointestinal tract, it's also found in cerebral cortex, somatic nerve endings, distal ileum and colon also. Distal ileum and colon. Cerebral cortex, somatic nerves, distal ileum and colon. So they have derived many CCK58. These numbers indicate the number of amino acids, right? So that is why depending on the number of amino acids, they have been subdivided into 58, 39, 33, 12, 8 and 4. Of this all, CCK33 is most commonly found in the gastrointestinal tract. So 33 is commonly found. So the stimuli for the secretion is acid or protein or fat present in the duodenum. So digested products of these in the duodenum, whenever they enter, it will stimulate CCK33 secretion. So initially CCK and PZ, pancreozymin, was considered as two different hormones. Later they found out that it's a single one. That's why now CCK-PZ it is called, cholecystokinin and pancreozymin, because it's having action on gallbladder as well as pancreas. Okay. So what are the functions of this? The foremost function is contraction of gallbladder and increases the releasing of the bile, stored bile, right? Second important PZ function is enhances the pancreatic secretion rich in enzyme. You remember here CCK-PZ is stimulating the pancreas for enzyme rich juice, whereas secretin is going to stimulate the pancreas for bicarbonate rich juice, right? So that's the difference. So third important function, it augments the secretion of secretin. You should remember here, the action of one hormone influences the action of or enhances the action of the other hormone, right? So that is called as permissive action. So one hormone, here CCK-PZ, is enhancing the action of secretin. So this type of action is called as permissive action. So all these hormones are having permissive action. Next important function is it is going to inhibit gastric acid secretion, inhibit gastric motility, and it delays gastric emptying. All are very, very important functions of the digestion and absorption of gastrointestinal tract. If emptying is not delayed, there are different pathology. If gastric motility is not inhibited, there are different pathological conditions. So each function is important of CCK-PZ. Okay, so I have written here in their order of their importance, right? So I tell always that whenever you answer either in Viva or write, the first priority should be given to its main function. Like that, for CCK-PZ, the first function is its contraction and releasing of bile, contraction of gallbladder. Don't tell it delays gastric emptying and gastric motility first, because primary function of CCK-PZ is on the gallbladder and release of bile. So you have to understand what is the primary function, what are the secondary function, because motility and emptying is also influenced by the gastrin also, is it not? There it is the primary function of gastrin, these function, whereas primary function of CCK-PZ is this pancreatic secretion rich enzyme and the bile release. So you should understand the difference between these and answer right or tell the answer in Viva accordingly. Now, how the regulation of CCK-PZ occurs? Regulation is basically secretion of CCK-PZ, cholecystokinin and pancreazymin release is increased by presence of acidic chyme in the duodenum, whereas products of carbohydrate, fats and protein digestion also stimulate the CCK-PZ. And of all these carbohydrate, fats and proteins, peptide and amino acids are the main ones. Means whenever a person consumes a meal rich in protein and peptides, that is going to enhance the secretion of CCK-PZ than carbohydrate and fats is the meaning. Then this is regulated basically by positive feedback mechanism. Means the more concentrated protein meal you take, the more is the release of CCK-PZ, right? It is not negative feedback mechanism. Please remember the differences. They are very minute points, but very, very important to remember and note down, right? They are all hormones have got their own unique and functions and regulation. Now that's about CCK-PZ. We come to next important hormone is secretin. Secretin, as you know, is the first hormone discovered by Bayliss and Starling in 1902, and source is S cells present in the upper part of small intestine. They are also called as Argentina film cells, right? Because they take up different stains in histology, Argentina film cells. The structure here is commonly 27 amino acids. The stimuli for secretion basically one and only one is presence of acidic chyme in the duodenum. So because the stimulating factor is presence of acidic chyme, the primary function of secretin is to neutralize this acidic chyme by stimulating the pancreas rich in bicarbonate ion, right? So there is no question of enzymes here. Whereas CCK-PZ is going to stimulate enzyme rich pancreatic juice. Here secretin is going to stimulate the bicarbonate rich pancreatic juice. And apart from this, it also stimulates the hepatic bile secretion, not releasing. Okay, secretion of hepatocytes bile is stimulated by secretin. Then it is going to augment, I told you permissive action, the secretin is going to augment the action of CCK to produce pancreatic secretion rich in enzyme. So this presence helps or enhances the action of CCK. Apart from this, it also inhibits gastric acid secretion and motility, and it also causes inhibition of contraction of pyloric sphincter. So see the order again. The primary function are these three, and these are secondary functions. So whenever you tell the importance, you have to go in this order only. Then coming to the gastric inhibitory peptide, GIP, another important hormone. Source is from K cells present in the jejunum and duodenum. They are initially called as enterogastrone cells. They were discovered as factors in the extracts of intestine that inhibited gastric motility. Now, if you remember here, the name is gastric inhibitory peptide. The word itself tells it inhibits the motility and secretion of gastric acid. So, the main function is inhibition of movements and HCl secretion. So, another activity is it enhances the release of insulin in response to infusion of glucose. If any patient or person gets more amount of glucose consumption, then the enhancing of insulin secretion is done by again GIP, another function. Then how this is carried out is through insulinotropic peptide. Now there are glucose dependent peptides, insulinotropic peptides, and this GIP is going to enhance the activity of these insulinotropic peptide, and that is in turn releases the insulin. Now regulation of GIP is entirely by the presence of fat in the duodenum. There is no role of acidic chyme, carbohydrate or proteins. The GIP is stimulated only by presence of fat in the duodenum. The next hormone is VIP, that is very important person. No, it is vasoactive intestinal polypeptide. Okay, because it is found in the intestine, it is called as intestinal polypeptide. So mucosal cells of jejunum is going to secrete VIP. Again here the main stimuli is fatty meal. Whenever a person takes huge amount of fatty meal, then the VIP is stimulated. Structure is, it has got 28 amino acid sequence, right? And the other sites of VIP apart from jejunum where it is found is, it is also found in the blood, cerebral cortex, autonomic nervous system and nerves in the GIT. So when we see this, it has got a very important role as neurotransmitter, right, than the hormone in GIT tract. The primary function I will tell is in the cerebral cortex and autonomic nerves as a neurotransmitter. Okay. So, but in GIT it stimulates the intestinal secretion of electrolyte and water absorption. Then see, its action is to decrease the blood pressure by causing vasodilation in the blood. The role is to decrease the blood pressure. Then in the induces smooth muscle relaxation, that is lower esophageal sphincter, stomach and gallbladder, because whenever the bile or anything has to get discharged, the sphincter has to relax, right? Now when we remember this gastrin, then CCK, PZ and secretin, they are all inhibiting the sphincter activities. But VIP is the hormone which causes relaxation, so that there will be releasing of the hormones. Then it also stimulates secretion of water into the pancreatic juice and bile, and inhibits the gastric acid secretion and absorption from intestinal lumen, and decreases the GI motility. So you may get confused, but you remember there are 4 actions and opposing action of these different hormones of GIT tract. Few hormones enhance the secretion of HCl and enhance the sphincter contraction, reduces the GI motility. Whereas few hormones like VIP and GIP, they decreases the HCl secretion, they reduces the or relaxes the sphincter. So these are the counteractions. So whenever there is a balance between action and counteraction, then only it will go in a homeostasis way. So there is one more hormone called enteroglucagon and glucagon-like peptides. They are basically secreted from L cells from small intestine and large intestine. They are not found in the above this small intestine. They have given the name enteroglucagon because it's seen only in the intestine. Now, or they may also called as proglucagon derived peptides. They are related to glucagon present in small and large intestine. So in both pancreas and gut, they found three types of glucagon-like peptide. They are named as GLP 1, 2 and 3. Now they are found in different places and their action will also be different. So for example, GLP 1, the action is it inhibits the gastric emptying, and glucagon-like peptide 2 action is to stimulates proliferation of intestinal epithelium. Whereas another function of GLP-1 is it inhibits gastric secretion, inhibits pancreatic secretion, decreases the food intake. So if you see, there is both GLP-1 and 2 have got counteractions, right? So what is the hormone that is responsible for regulating our hunger and food intake? One of them is GLP, right? Next is somatostatin. As all of you know, it is secreted from delta cells or S cells from the mucosa and pancreas. So structure is again studied. 14 or 28 two forms are found amino acid, of which SS28 is more active, and it is secreted apart from the intestine and pancreas. It is secreted from the hypothalamus also, whereas it plays an important role as the neurotransmitter. The basic stimulus for secretion of somatostatin is acid, presence of acid in the stomach, and stimuli which increases the insulin secretion. So what are the functions of this? It enhances the secretion of gastrin, secretin and motilin. So this somatostatin enhances the secretion of gastrin, secretin, motilin, as well as exocrine and endocrine secretions of pancreas, and gastric acid and the same thing. Then dyspepsia and slow gastric emptying. So this somatostatin is responsible for the prevention of dyspepsia and gastric emptying. On gallbladder, it is got a role to contract, means if bile is concentrated for a longer time in gallbladder, that precipitates the formation of gallstones, right? So this is responsible for formation of gallstone also, and it has got a role in somatostatin absorption of glucose, amino acid and triglyceride. So that was the function of this somatostatin. Now we will see the function of motilin. Motilin is another important gastric hormone. It is secreted from EMO cells in the mucosa of intestine. Endocrinocytes, they are also called as endocrinocytes, and 22 amino acid secretion is commonly found. Now, as the name indicates, you should remember motilin is concerned with only movements of the intestine. So it sweeps the stomach and small intestine. After digestion, whatever remaining amount of food particles are there, they are swept by this motilin and clear the undigested material and stimulates the production of pepsin. So primary action of motilin is to clean the remaining undigested material from stomach and small intestine. And it also controls the pattern of smooth muscle contraction in the upper GI tract, right? What should be the movement, whether what is the rate of peristalsis in the GI tract is regulated by the motilin. The depth and rate of the peristalsis. Okay, so it increases the migrating myoelectric complexes that are present in the stomach. So housekeeping contractions, if you remember the stomach movements. So next hormone is ghrelin. It is 28 amino acid sequence. Ghrelin is actually the European name where the meaning is growth. So they are endocrine cells from the stomach. Ghrelin is secreted. Especially this hormone is secreted whenever a person is on starvation, is hungry for longer hours. So action is, it acts basically on the hypothalamus to stimulate feeding, right? Feeding center is stimulated by ghrelin. So actually it counteracts or inhibition of feeding by leptin. This action of ghrelin is opposite to the inhibition of feeding, means it enhances the, it stimulates feeding center. So what makes me to feel I am hungry now is by ghrelin, action on the feeding center of my hypothalamus. Okay, whereas leptin is going to inhibit the feeding, right? It stops the feeding. So next is guanylin. Guanylin is 15 amino acid sequence. It is cells of the intestinal mucosa. Again, it is secreted. Stimulating factor is presence of guanylin in the intestine. Function is it increases the chloride movement to the intestine. See, if you remember, what is important for the secretion of chloride in the intestine is to secrete the intestinal juice. So chloride movements are secreted. So now this table shows in whole other neuro hormones that are present in the gastric glands like neurotensin, GRP, guanylin, chymodinin, substance P, bombicin, and the sources we have seen few of them already. So substance P is found in entire GIT, chymodinin is found in duodenal mucosa, and bombicin is again in entire GIT. Guanylin is from Paneth cells. GRP is from vagal nerve ending. Now their effects also. Now neurotensin inhibits the motility and the blood flow. GRP has got a releasing effect of gastrin. Then guanylin increases the chloride ion secretion in the intestine. Chymodinin, selective secretion of chymotrypsinogen from pancreatic acinar cells. Now these are going to cause each ion and each molecule transmission is affected. So because nowadays the all research is taking place at molecular level, now specific knockout of these hormone or chymodinin secreting cells is going to cause what type of effect is being studied now, right? So substance P increases the motility of small intestine, increases local vasodilation, perception of pain sensation. I told you it is substance P plays an important role in pain inhibition in the central nervous system. So bombicin increases gastric secretion, increases the motility of gallbladder and small intestine. So these are the other hormones and their source and the effects. Coming to applied aspect quickly, the most common is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. It's not common, but of these hormones, or it's also called as gastrinoma caused by tumors. So the signs and symptoms include pain in the stomach and esophagus. Person will complain of nausea, vomiting of blood, difficulty in swallowing, sore throat, coughing, wheezing, sour or bitter taste in the mouth, blood in the stool. Now, I think many of these symptoms are now relating with COVID symptoms like sore throat and bitter taste, and even the pain in the stomach are few of complaints of COVID coronavirus also. But even nausea, vomiting, but vomiting of blood and blood in the stool, melena, it's called as blood in the stool is called as melena, and that is typical symptom of Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. Now another applied aspect is Werner-Morrison syndrome. This is called as VIPomas because they are arising from the VIP cells. So pancreatic, it's also called as pancreatic cholera syndrome, where it is characterized by only watery diarrhea and because of diarrhea dehydration, there will be hypokalemia, even achlorhydria and acidosis will be there. Because of vasodilation, there will be hypotension of the person. All ions like hypokalemia, hypercalcemia and hyperglycemia are seen in this VIPoma. Then is carcinoid tumors arising from acute cells. They originate from diffuse neuroendocrine system. Specifically, they are enterochromaffin cells in the submucosa of intestine. They are arising carcinoid tumors. And carcinoid tumors, how we are going to identify tumors is there will be increase in the synthesis of ACTH, gastrin, pancreatic polypeptide and insulin. So all the side effects of increased hormones are seen. Hypoglycemia, then ACTH is corticotrophic hormone excess, like that. Then vasoactive intestinal peptide, serotonin and 5-hydroxy, these all are secreted in more number or higher concentration by these carcinoid tumors. So the cells that secrete gastrointestinal peptides, they can form tumors. So overall, in the applied aspect, 50% of the tumors are belonging to gastrinomas and only 25% are glucanomas and others are viponomas, neurotensinomas and many others, few very rarely have been described. But carcinoid tumors are the common and even Zollinger-Ellison syndrome is also seen many times. So we have come to the end of this class, that is the gastrointestinal hormones. You please make a table like what is the source and what are its action site of this action mechanism. If you make a table form, it is easy to remember these things because they are very confusing. Any queries? Any questions anybody is having?
No, ma'am.
No queries. So from Monday you are going to arrive in the campus, or many of you have already come? So now we are actually going to discuss about this offline and online. Now meeting is there with the Vice Principal sir. Anyone wants to ask any doubts regarding that? So that I will convey to the sir. Okay. So all are interested to come then. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.